Everybody has goals, but hardly anyone achieves them. Why is that? In today's video, I'm going to talk about 3 ways people are setting themselves up for failure with the goals they set, and describe a better alternative to goal setting altogether. Starting off with, your goals are of your outcome, not your input. The vast majority of people seem to set their goal on the outcome. This car, this house, how much money, how many followers, the end result. But the problem with doing that is the only thing you can 100% control is the input, the amount of work you're doing, the amount of hours you put in, whatever. So in engineering, they use this term called the black box, which basically describes something that we can't fully see or understand because it's so complex. All we know is we have an input and we get an output. So like an example would be an algorithm, or ChatGPT, or even your body could be considered like a biological black box because it's so complex. We can't really see the inner workings. There's so many variables and things that happen, and you can kind of like predict, but you can never know with certainty exactly what's happening. And that is the case for almost all goals and almost all things in life. There's all these forces at play that you can't really properly control. So by placing your goal as an outcome, you're taking away the control for how successful you feel, how much your feelings of well-being, how like your own definition of the success is based on factors out of your own control. So for example, if your goal was to make 100 grand this year, you can't control if you're going to go into a recession, if one of your close family members becomes ill, or you have other responsibilities, or some other things come up. The only thing you could control is, yeah, I'm going to work 8 hours a day every day. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. You can't fully control the outcome. So that means that you're placing your definition of success on things out of your own control, which means that you can't feel successful even if you did all the work you had to do. And the other problem is, with all these other factors at play, you could vastly underestimate or overestimate your goal. So you might not reach it because, like I said, a recession or all these other things that might happen, or you might actually get really lucky, or you go into a field which suddenly like 10x's are like, or I don't know, this is the easiest one to come off the top of my head, but you could start an AI thing like 5 years ago, and then all of a sudden it's absolutely booming now, and then your goal that was to achieve a certain amount of success in that realm is absolutely pitiful compared to what you actually could have achieved, or what you actually go on to achieve. So then that defeats the purpose of the goal overall. It's not even something you're trying to reach for. It's just like you easily achieve it. So you either do everything you could and feel like a failure because you don't manage your goal even though you did everything you could, or you manage it so easily that it defeats the purpose and there's no longer a goal and something to strive after. It's just like too easy. Which leads on to my second problem with goals as a whole, is they're so difficult to be both achievable and ambitious. So obviously it needs to be ambitious to be something to strive you forwards. But it also ideally needs to be achievable, because then you just don't feel like a loser who doesn't achieve anything. So it's very difficult to get this balance, and I think it's just so difficult to set a good goal because we're just so bad at predicting as humans, like what we're capable of. I think we're so bad at it. And even if you had to just predict an input goal, it's so difficult going from theory into reality. But it's like an order of magnitude harder to predict if it's an outcome, like I said, because you've got all these forces at play that are just impossible to quantify and understand why you didn't get a certain result. There's just so many different variables that you just can't possibly understand. Which leads on to the third problem I have with goals, and there's the reason everyone has goals and hardly anyone achieves them, is that goals don't actually do anything for you. Like, they don't actually do any of the work. You can set as many goals as you want all day long and you actually be no closer to achieving them. A goal without action is just a fantasy. So what I think is a better approach to goal setting altogether is designing habits and routine based off the inputs. So the way I'd do it is I'd have a desire and priorities in my life for things that I want to improve on. So these aren't like technically, if you know, I'm sure you've all heard of SMART goals before, achievable, time, blah, blah, blah. These aren't good goals because they're not specific, but I would just have priorities in my life of things that I want to improve on, such as like my health, my mobility, like education, finances. There are all these things that are a priority to me to improve. And then I just simply, you know, have a list of priorities of things that I want to achieve, and then design the inputs in my day-to-day, in my routine, in my week, whatever, that get me steps forward towards the things that I value to improve in. And it doesn't actually matter how far I need to go. So this takes away the problem of it being impossible to predict how far I could get in whatever time frame. All that I know is I'm doing everything I can in my routine, which I'm constantly optimizing to maximize the things that matter the most to me. So, for example, for me is like health. So I'd be changing my routine such that I have the near perfect diet for my limited understanding of what a perfect diet is, or I have a perfect routine that balances time and efficiency. So I still get a load of workout done, but I still have time to focus on my finances or my YouTube or my house or, you know, all these other things, all these variables. So I just have a set of priorities, and then from the things that are important to me, I determine the inputs, sorry. What am I going to do week on week that get me further forward in these things? And you've got to have a think about what is most important to you, and that determines what you spend the disproportionate amount of your time doing. The things that are the greatest priority for you to advance in, you allocate the most time in your routine to doing. And this way you can feel good about yourself and feel successful, because all you're doing is focusing on the action. You're focusing on what you're actually doing to get the goal. All you're doing is optimizing more time, more efficiency that build me in the direction I want to go. It doesn't matter, you know, the thing about setting goals is you don't actually get that much enjoyment out of achieving the goal. It's so fleeting. What you get enjoyment out of is the progress. So I focus on progressing on the things that matter the most to me in my life. And that is it. Doesn't matter if I hit 1,000 subscribers by next week or next year. All I'm trying to do is how much time can I allocate to YouTube that matters to me while balancing the other things that I have to balance. And just being realistic with yourself of what is achievable, what is attainable, and what are you willing to sacrifice, because everything requires a sacrifice. And just playing around with your routine and constantly 1% improvements, because I believe for being successful in any realm, it's not made of, you know, these one times you do a big stint and work on one thing for one day or whatever. It's the little 1% things you do every single day. It's the habits that really actually compound and make all the difference in the world. So that all your focus, I think, should go on the day-to-day. What are you doing every single day, and how does that bring you closer and closer towards where you want to be in the things that matter to you in your life? So that is my personal opinion, and that's why I don't really have any goals other than I want to get better in this. I don't have like a set quantified target. It's like maybe I'll have a few that's like a good idea to have this sort of amount. Like that's a milestone that I can celebrate when I get to it. But I don't have like, I need to achieve this by then, because all that I'm focusing on is the action. The goal doesn't do anything for you other than the direction that you're going in. You just set the goal to determine, I want to go in this direction for this, I want to go in this direction for that. And then you just work every day as much as you can to get yourself closer in that direction. So that's the end of the video. If you enjoyed, hit the subscribe button and check out this other video that I made. Thank you very much for watching. See you next week. Peace.